Well, good morning. It's about 6:46 on Sunday. Hope y'all are going to have a good Sunday. I'm just here and it's cold and rainy, and so I'm getting my recipes and looking through this and that. And so I'm going to make some biscuits this morning and don't know what else, but I bet I will find out, won't we? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I got my yeast out of the freezer. I keep it in the freezer in a little jelly jar with my lid on it and plastic, because I buy this in that bulk and it lasts for a long time. My measuring spoons have got together and wanting to play havoc with me this morning. Look at all this big old mess I've got. I bet we take them off and use them that way. We just take them off of there and say, okay, if you don't want to play with us, then you go get out of the toy box, because we're not messing with you today. Okay, I'm going to use 4 level teaspoons. Baby kitty, y'all hear him? 2. He's wanting attention, but I can't do attention when I've got too much going on. That's the way the kids usually do, is they get in the kitchen and wanting attention when you don't have time to give them attention. And I'm sorry, but I've got things I got to get done. Now I put this all back together and put it back in the freezer. Now to this, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons. Let me get my Dolly Parton little things. No, I'll just use this. I like to use my plastic when I'm using hot water. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3. 3 tablespoons of hot water I had in this cup. Now I'll mix that around just to make a slurry, kind of. Be kind of a, see how it's kind of just a little pasty. Okay, so we'll set that right there. Got Billie Jean got messy all over the stove. That's all right. Okay. Okay. Let me set this over like this. Let me get my towel put up here. Now this calls for all-purpose flour, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna use my self-rising flour because it's already got. This is that King Arthur unbleached self-rising flour, but it's got made with non-aluminum baking powder. So that's what we're going to use this morning. You can use your all-purpose flour and add your baking powder if you want to, but I'm gonna use this because I don't want the aluminum in my body. So I'm gonna do 5 cups. I'm gonna do 5 cups of flour. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Love these little crock pot inserts that you can find at the Goodwill, because this is just what you need for your flours and meals. When the heating element went away, I found some other use for my stuff. I'm going to get just a little bit of sugar, not a whole bunch. Okay, I got a fourth cup. Hold on. I don't want to put a whole fourth cup because I don't need the sugar, so you can put the fourth cup, but I'm going to put just a smidgen in there just to give it some sugar, sweet, just a little bitty sweet. We'll do about, let's see, 1.5 teaspoons salt. But I always put 2 teaspoons because I like mine to have a little salty flavor. Now, since we're not going to put our 2 teaspoons of baking powder in that, but I am going to get this Great Value baking soda, and I haven't opened it, but I'm fixing to, if I can get the damn thing open. There. Let's do 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I want to mix this around real good. Let's scoot y'all back over. You want to mix that real good because, like I've told you now, this don't have the baking powder in it. But if you put baking powder in this stuff and then not mix it, you'll have bitter spots in your biscuit sometimes, and you'll think, "Oh, what's that bitterness?" Well, it's because you didn't get that baking powder mixed real well. I decided I better get my mat and put it out because I'm going to need it before long. So to this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup to my dry ingredients. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of butter and 1/2 cup of shortening. But I want to chunk it. I want to chunk it up. I keep my lard or my Crisco or butter or whatever into the freezer. It's just, I've already mixed that pretty well, so we'll just drop our butter down in there, like that. Then we'll take us half a cup of this, which I may. It's going to be very difficult because you have to, sometimes you just have to chunk it off if it's kind of a lard. Crisco now, that's about 1/2 cup right there. Now Crisco don't set up that hard, but when I use this all vegetable shortening, or even the lard. Okay. Now I get my wonderful pastry blender that one of my followers. Let me move this over here, got me. I'm just gonna mix this. I may have to let that thaw out a little bit, that shortening. You want to mix this till it's kind of pea-like. Yeah, we're going to have to let that mix. I'll be right back. Once that it gets warms up a minute and I can get to working this. Okay, I think this has got, and I'm working this around here just to get that butter and grease incorporated into this dough, and it's kind of be like sandy, thick sand, kind of. That's what you want, because you gotta have that incorporated in there, so when that melts, it'll puff that biscuit up and all that. So it looks kind of like, get that, get your grease out of there, out of your blender. Okay, I think that's blended enough for right now. Now I'm going to take get me a container. I'm going to take 2 cups of buttermilk. Now then, I'm going to take my yeast and water mixture and I'm going to scrape it out of this bowl. I'm going to put it in my milk mixture. Stir it around. It doesn't have to be completely combined or nothing like that. But you want it semi. Instead of wasting, I'm just going to put this, let that kind of clean that bowl up. Get that. Don't matter if that's real mixed, but at least we got some of it out there. I'm going to add it right into my biscuit dough, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going to mix around pretty good, you know. I'm going to add that to making sure we get all that off that inside. That yeast mixture. That was getting pretty good. Just kind of will incorporate that with our flour. Kind of get it down in there. Get that all moist and where it comes together. You see it coming together. That's what we want. We want to get it off. It'll get off the bowl by itself. You can keep mixing. You want to You don't want to mix your biscuits too much, like in a machine or something, because they'll be tough as a boot. You don't want tough as a boot. You don't want to eat boots for breakfast. So let me get this out of the way. Rinse my hands, because I got that yeast on them. I don't need yeast on them. Okay. Now then, get this off of there. Turn my bowl this way so I can get down in there. You don't want to leave a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, now let me get a little flour. Hold on. I got my flour. I use this just to keep for just my flour to keep my. Put a little water underneath this thing, and that'll keep my board down. Okay, let's get out of there now. Get out of there, darn you. This bowl is so heavy I can hardly lift it anymore. It's gotten so much. I have to get me a plastic bowl. This is sliding today. That's just the way it goes. Now then, I'm just going to get this. Get this off of here. Rinse my hands already, so we're okay there. Now, I just want to knead this just a little bit, y'all, to make sure it's incorporated and get a little air in it. You want a little air in it, so let's just roll it a little bit and get a little air in it. I'm going to let that set for just a minute. I should have put my grease in there, but I'm just going to usually I'll heat it up, but today I can't because I've got the stove covered up, so we're just going to put our avocado oil. I bet I'll need 2 skillets. So, you know what that means. Get you another skillet. That looks like an awful lot of, we'll have it just in case we need it. If we don't, we don't. But, now then, I'm going to get my drawer. I've got this stuff all on me. One more squeeze. Let's make these. Let's get that down to about a half an inch. I'd say, let's see. Maybe an inch. Let's see. That looks about maybe an inch. Let's see. I think that'll be all right. I want it to. If you don't do this part, you'll have splits in the top, and sometimes I do. So I go straight down. Don't you alleviate from that. You go straight down and pull out. Just always put it in your pan. Straight down. I'm going to try to cut these thicker so I can have just one pan of biscuits today instead of two. That will probably split because you got this crack, see. You don't do that at this point, they'll split, but it doesn't matter. If they're good biscuit, it doesn't matter. Straight down, remember, straight down. That'll probably split. Push that out just a little more. You can tell where those splits will be. My grandmother, every time she made biscuits like this, she'd leave these dregs, or if she had any left over, that's what she made for lunch. She made for lunch or dinner the fried pies. See, now we've got that one pan, so I don't think there's enough. I could make a thinner biscuit, or I can use this as pie dough. Whichever, that's what I was fixing to tell you. Grandmother always made pies out of her dough. Or you can go ahead and we might just go ahead, I don't. Just trying to get that all cleaned up there. I could do a little thinner, just a little thinner biscuit. And just a thinner, little thinner biscuit, okay. And we'll have some bread, good homemade bread, so you don't have to worry about, because you have to let these now, get these done, you have to let these rise in this pan. That's not right. I'll put them back if they're not right, because there's no sense in baking something if it's not right. And even if we don't get, I'd rather have a good biscuit and not as many. So that will have a, these will have a little thing in them. That might, we can probably do that by hand. Just form it out as a biscuit. It'll be alright. Put it right there. There we go. So now we'll cover these. Both of these pans, we'll cover them. And we'll let them rise and let's give it about an hour. So this is where I take some, I've got plastic wrap, but I'm not using my plastic wrap. I'm not cooking in these, so y'all don't get crazy again. Everybody's rapping about me for using plastic bags. Well, I'm just covering this because there's no sense in me using a bunch of plastic wrap that I'm just going to throw away, and I'm not doing it. I will not do it. You might as well get over it. I'm going to put these just right here on this top. And get this. So I can clean this up while we're waiting on our biscuits to rise. Then we'll be back. Okay, those had risen for an hour on both pans. I just now put the first pan in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and make sure they're covered up good, because they'll continue to rise even sitting out of an oven. So I put them in the first pan, and I'll put the second pan on 400 degrees, and we'll bake them until they're brown. Probably about, on a regular oven, 16 to 18 minutes. So in the meantime, I was getting this kitchen all cleaned up, and I decided, well, I'm going to have to make some gravy. So I might as well cut this, just cook this. Cook this bacon. And probably need to sharpen my knife. Boy, I'm just going to put that in my skillet. I just want the flavor of for our gravy. I was going to make sausage gravy, but I didn't have no sausage thawed out. So we're going to do bacon. We'll do bacon. I need to cut this up and crisp it down anyway so I can use it. Bacon lasts a long time, but if you render it down like this and get the grease, it does a lot better. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to render that bacon grease, get the grease out of it, render it down where it's crunchy. I'll be back. So this is that cheap bacon, and that's why it's got all that fat in it. But I'm still rendering it down because I can use this in my red beans. And I'm going to do some red beans today, pretty sure. So this will be good. I won't use it all in the red beans. I'll save some of it, but I got this grease, see, now to make my good flavorful country gravy to go over the biscuits. If you wanted to, you can cut some of this bacon up in your gravy. I just render it down so that I don't waste it and I don't lose it. If I've opened the package and need it for something, then I'll go ahead and do this and put it up. And I can even cool this off and put it in the freezer now, and then just take it out in my little packages from the Stilla Mill like I normally do when I find it on sale. I'll be back. Okay, I've got that on rendered down. Now then I'll give me a bowl and I'll put some, see how that's still cooking. You don't want it to burn too much. You can pull it off that stove because that's still hot. These pans stay so hot. Iron skillets. What I can do is I can get that out. Darn you, get out of there. Get those dregs, I kind of just clean them off. Let's see. Now I'll set that back. And I'll leave that right there for a minute. Now let me see how much gravy I'm not going to make a whole bunch of gravy. But what I do is I'll add some of my, just for the flavors, the reason I got that bacon in there, because I don't eat a lot of fat anymore. I take my avocado oil. I just add whatever I think I'm going to need to make a good pan of gravy. It'll still have that flavor in it. I'll get that kind of hot. Let me get some all-purpose flour. Let me get my all-purpose flour out of here. Keep my little tag there so I know that it's all-purpose. I'll be putting something else in there. That's probably good. Okay, let's get this back. Got to kind of work quickly. Let me look. No, that's not enough. You gotta. Let me get just a hair more of that. You want it kind of pasty. Not really pasty, but you want it to not be so liquidy. I see how that's kind of, get all that off. Turn your fire down, Billy Jean. Don't burn the damn house down. I see how that's kind of got all them old lumps, anything out of it. Let me get some milk. Put that back on there while you add your milk. Get your fire up. Now we're going to add our pepper. Get your pepper. Get your salt. Get this. That'll start thickening up. That iron skillet don't take long. Remember I told you if you get your gravy too thick, which I do a lot of the times, then I'll just add a cup of hot water, or add water, hot water, and it'll bring it back to where it needs to be. That's thickening up, see? But it don't have all them little lumps in it. Just have to learn how to make gravy, and see it's starting to thicken up. Now I can tell by my spoon, I've been doing it for so long. It's going to start bubbling. Once it starts bubbling, it starts thickening, so you have to raise that up off that darn stove. Okay, I'll turn my fire up just a little bit more. Then I'll turn it on and off. Let's get it kind of hot. Okay, now it's starting to boil. You see that? It's boiling. Okay. All right. That's thickening up. Once it starts thickening and boiling, see how it's boiling? You want to get that off of there. If not, it'll become too thick. See how thick that's just went. Within a few seconds, that gravy has gotten so thick, like wallpaper paste, as Granny said. I remember hearing her talk about them putting up new wallpaper and having to use flour and water, boiling it on the stove like this, and that made a paste, and they could stick their wallpaper on the walls or whatever they need to do. The more houses. See how thick and good that is? Now that's some good gravy right there. See how thick it is? But it's good. Now the lump one. Okay, we'll set that right there. Let's check our biscuits. Let's see what they look like. Well, here they are. Here's the biscuits. Wish y'all was here because these smell so good. Let's put this back here. Get our biscuits right there. I'm going to put the other pan in. Remember, I've got to put our other pan in. Now, no Billie Jean. Got the fire off. I always make sure I get that fire off because that's one thing that I have been told all my life. Make sure the fire is off no matter how many times. Get this old butter. Let's just butter the top of these. Like buttering the top of these. Those are some big biscuits, y'all. They rose up to the heavens. That's what we want. I know you poor followers, me getting through that biscuit escapade of finding the perfect biscuit. Well, thank God I did find the perfect. This is the recipe I'll probably use the rest of my life. Because grandmother had and my mother had different biscuit recipes, and I never could find one that I liked. So finally, I did when I used the yeast. I love that. Love that recipe. Better set this out. We might want some more. See that bacon? It got done. It's just I can't eat it because of you know what. I don't have my you know what. So one day maybe I'll be able to. That's the only thing that hinders my life is getting that all started about getting my you know what's shaken out, and then them costing so much. And if I ever do, that's the only thing in my life I think that I've missed more than anything else is my you know what's. But the Lord sees fit. I'll be able to get those implants finished, and then I'll be uptown. I'll be uptown, y'all. I'll wave at you. Oh, y'all are my friends, and I don't forget my friends. We may not know each other just like if you was next door, but we know each other. We have a good heart. That's all that matters. The good Lord take care of us. You just got to ask for it. And every day I get up, I think of myself. I had 2 blessings this morning. I opened my eyes. I can see. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, now what am I going to do? All right, I'll show you. I'm going to get this restaurant pan. And I'm going to make me a little scrambled egg. Get that fire on. I'm just going to do it in this pan. I like buttered eggs to go with the biscuits and gravy. I think if you want a little more, then just do an egg or 2 eggs. Let's do 2 eggs. Well, I might ought to cook 3. Mother might want 1, so let's turn that and do 3. 3 eggs. These shells nowadays are terrible. Have y'all noticed since the pandemic, the shells have become too big, too thick. See, there's a piece of shell right there. Too thick or not thick enough, and they break all over your stove. Y'all know I did not see that until the pandemic started and that egg shortage, to put salt on it. That first egg shortage, I guess they got overrun. And they needed they didn't have enough eggs, so kind of poach those. Let me get a cup of hot water. Just gonna get hot water and I just pour that in my skillet. Like that. I just set one of these old baking pans right on it. I've got flour all over everything this morning. That's nothing new though. Nothing new at all. I just let that kind of poach a little bit. From that steam, it'll poach those and they'll come out right every time. Plus you don't, well, that butter, that's a good this challenge butter is what I use because it's fresh, it's good butter. It's been since 19 something. About 20, 30, 40. 1925. Now if I don't make my own butter, I use the challenge. See that, how they're, I'll show you in just a minute. Get my pan so I don't get all this. So I don't get all that. Now I can turn that off. That just kind of releases them to where you can. Let me get a plate. Get a plate. Now that'll just drain that off. Just drain that off. I just want to get those out of there before they got too. It's a very little yellow left that's not hard, but they're cooked. You don't have to worry about all that. So that made a good plate of eggs. And so that's the eggs. And then that just cleans that pan, cleans it right up. You don't have all that old stuck stuff in there. Sometimes you have to dot these a little bit. Just a little bit, just to see, oh, that pan's hot. Let me pull this over. Now I'm going to get a small one of the small plates for Mother. And I'll put her one egg on it. She's not awake. So I'll set this right there. And I want to get a biscuit out of there. That's some pretty thick, y'all. Pretty fluffy. Ooh, look at that biscuit. Now that's what I'm talking about, biscuits. I'm pretty hungry today. I think I'll have 2 biscuits. I'll leave that one. So see how fluffy? Those got pretty big. Pretty thick. They're good biscuits. Now, that gravy, see that one ahead and got thicker? Now if you had to leave that, all you got to do is come back in here and that'll have that good bacon flavor in that gravy. But if you had guests and you had to reheat that, all you got to do is come in there and just add some real hot water. And then if you wanted to, I'm not going to, but you could have some bacon pieces, and I might try just a few. So that's going to be my breakfast and Mama's breakfast. Now this Probably I'll come back and get that other half and put some homemade strawberry jelly or grape jelly on it. But that's what we're going to have tonight, this morning for breakfast. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning, so God bless you, God bless us, God bless the United States. Granny Pat and I are going to try to go live this evening, so y'all might watch out for that. I wish y'all was here to have breakfast with me. I already got the coffee made. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.